the Cinemen have returned.
Oh, it's been so long.
It's been so long. It's been a minute. One could say it's been a Cineminute.
It has been a Cineminute, but we needed that. We were trapped in here for a week.
We're trapped in here for a week talking about Oscars.
The funk was not only within us, it was outside of us. They really just had to hose this place down.
That's right. We're back with a vengeance, and we also brought reinforcements.
We did.
Yeah, we did bring it. You know who I am. It's me, the host of this bit of business. Doug, you're here as well.
I am.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah. If not, then this is a trippy ass dream I'm having right now. Would you like to introduce our guest, sir?
I would love to. We have a special guest. It's something we're going to try doing more in 2020, is having some guests on this show. And our first one, I could not be more excited for this, is Noel T. Manning. He is a fellow member of the North Carolina Film Critics Association. He's a fellow member of the Critics' Choice Association. We're going to get into more of that in a little bit. But thank you so much for coming.
Hey, thanks for inviting me. Good to be here. Good to see you guys. Good to see your digs. I like it. I like this.
Particularly after they cleaned it. It looks so much better.
And it smells nothing like you told me it was going to smell. So I'm very happy about that.
No Doritos and Mountain Dew. We cleaned this place up.
Yeah, and no coronavirus. So that's even better.
Oh, we think.
Again, still waiting on the answer about that earwax issue.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Get back to us in 14 days. And we'll see if there was or wasn't.
But thank you so much for joining us. We figured it was literally the least we could do after you've been so generous to invite us to your show, Meet Me at the Movies, of which you have had me on a few times. Daryl just had his first episode.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And you did really well, Daryl. Yeah. I don't know what you were talking about.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I was not pleased with my performance.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I went back and watched, and I was like, that's not me.
No, we'll get you back so you can be you.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I appreciate that, sir. I appreciate that.
And the way that you were talking about it, Daryl, and you know, I guess that was my last episode back in January. So was a pleasure. Thanks for coming on.
So, thank you for your service.
Gives me a chance to say goodbye.
No, I'm really glad to be here and love having you guys on the show. And you're welcome back anytime. And we're just glad to talk movies.
We have it on. We're recording this. We have evidence. Which, before we go any further, have to give a big congratulations as well to our man Daryl over here. If you listeners were not aware, of course, we've been talking about it in the Paprika Podcast Facebook group, but Daryl is a new member of the North Carolina Film Critics Association.
Yeah, man. I slid in there. Unawares. Caught him with the guard down. Yeah, I slid in there.
I don't know if our guard was down. but
thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
You earned it. So welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Welcome to the shenanigans.
Yeah, I'm always primed for shenanigans.
I know. I actually saw a shirt that was like, I'm here for the shenanigans, and I wanted to text you and be like, what's your shirt size? So, sir, what's your shirt size? Because I'm going to show up and give you that.
The way things are looking, I'm always going to be an XL for the rest of my life.
I feel you on that one.
All right. So what are we doing here today, Mr. Davidson?
Well, I figured it's been a while since we've done this. I didn't know if there was anything that you've seen recently, or certainly you, Noel, have seen recently, that you'd like to talk about that you feel like was worth sharing. I've seen a few films. Now I know we're going to have another guest. He's lurking in the shadows of the studio. He's not on mic yet. He's going to join us in the next half of this program.
Of the room.
The Batman.
At least they're lurking in the shadows.
Well, that's true. I'm not sure he's got a utility belt. But we've got another gentleman here who's lurking in the shadows. We'll introduce him later, who saw a very recent Daniel Radcliffe movie he may want to discuss. Daniel Radcliffe has the absolute fortune of doing so many weird things just because he can.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that he's only had one movie worth talking about this month. But we will discuss that one, I'm sure, later. But that does remind me, I recently saw Mayhem, jumping off of Daniel Radcliffe and weird movies. He wasn't in this one, but his co-star Samara Weaving was. Holy shit, is she amazing.
Yeah, man. Samara Weaving is here to stay, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm loving it.
Did you see Ready or Not?
Oh, no? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Interviewed Samara.
Yes, you did.
Around that same time.
Lovely.
And so she was just wrapping up Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
And so she's the daughter in Bill and Ted movies.
Is she Bill's daughter or she Ted's daughter?
She's one of them.
I wrote. She's Bill's daughter. I wrote this down. Okay. I'll get in. We'll discuss that more later.
Yes, I did see Ready or Not.
That was my first exposure to her. Had you seen anything else with
I
her
had
in it?
not. I had not. Yeah.
I saw her in that, and I went, okay, I want to check out more of her. Mayhem had come out before that, and of course, I've seen this other film that she's in. That we're not going to talk about, but Mayhem is fantastic. I want to see more of Samara Weaving quipping
Pronto.
and being a badass.
Yeah.
Because she just gets these wonderful one-liners.
Her timing
that
is
are
great.
Oh, it's amazing. And her delivery, everything. I want more of her on screen.
Yeah, I was picking up our emergency coronavirus preparation stuff out in the Walmart the other day. And
what was it? Your Flamin' Cheetos. What else?
Flamin' Hot and the Flamin' Limon.
Oh, okay.
Those are great,
Limon.
by the way.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not even a big fan of the limon and the limes, but yeah, I love Doritos, man. Keep doing what you're doing, Doritos. This show, not sponsored by Doritos. But I was sitting there
Wait, real quick. Why do you keep saying lemon? What, is it a special flavor?
Limon.
Okay. Is it not lemon?
I mean, you
They
spell
can't
like that,
say
I'm
it
gonna say
legally?
limon.
No, I'm just asking.
Somebody's got the hold on lemons out there.
I don't know. What is Big Lemon doing? I don't.
Not letting Doritos use their name,
okay.
apparently.
Just checking.
I was looking at Ready or Not on the shelves, and I was like, oh, do I want to pull the trigger on this? But I
Yes.
just bought like 3 movies a day prior, so
Yeah,
I had to be
get one more.
fiscally responsible.
No, get one more.
All right, then. You know what, Doug? You heard that? Leslie? Doug said I could. So that's all I needed to hear.
Yeah, I'm not paying for it, so what do I care?
Fair enough. Fair enough. So what else have we seen recently?
Got to check out Onward, which in the theater didn't really hit me the way that I'd heard it hit a lot of people, particularly at the early screenings. But I was writing up my review, and I put on Brandy Carlisle's Carried Me With You, and I was just a bawling mess writing my review. So I'm actually really looking forward to checking it out, having experienced it, and now just being able to watch.
So a bawling mess, kind of like you were after the first episode of Meet Me in the Movies that you got a
Yes,
chance to be on.
because I also thought I did not, in fact, kill it. Oh, you mean that?
That's what I was
Oh, sweating. No, yes, I was crying from everywhere.
Pores. What are they for?
This is why I wear layers now.
And that's why this is not on TV.
You ain't lying.
That's great. That is great.
Having actually spent time in radio, I can tell you, I have a face for radio. I do.
Is there anything that you checked out recently?
Yeah.
Mr. Annis?
Yeah, there's a new film called Resistance. It's got Jesse Eisenberg in this, and it's a movie I had not heard anything about. IFC sent me the link to this.
Really?
It takes place during World War II. It's the Marcel Marceau story of him helping to save children of Jewish descent from France, taking them to Switzerland. It's an amazing film. Really blown away by this. Production design was quite incredible. A story that I'd never heard of before. But it just, you see this, you see his character going from this very selfish individual where it's all about him, all about his art, all about what he wants in life. And then he sees something. He sees this child that is an orphaned and being transported over the Nazi border, and he's with this resistance group they're scouts basically. Mm-hmm. They're Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and they're helping to teach kids. That's the the outside thing you see that everybody thinks they are, but they're really trying to help them escape and help them find life. And you get just a chance to see and understand what Marcel Marceau went through, and I had no idea. I mean, this is a backstory of him that I knew nothing about. Mm-hmm. It just a wonderful film. I mean, one of those. Whenever you see a film that you just don't have any kind of preconceived notions about, and it just kind of hits you, this is one of those. I'm always drawn to films about wartime, and especially about people who find ways to overcome. Mm-hmm. And this is definitely one of those. So highly recommend Resistance.
Right on.
Right on.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, one of the best films of the year so far for me.
Wow.
Which I've seen some good films about when you see something that you have nothing to give you any ideas about up front. Written and directed by the same guy. I'm probably going to murder this filmmaker's name, but the filmmaker is Jonathan Jakobowicz. And did a film called Hands of Stone a boxing film just a few years ago.
Yeah.
So he wrote and directed this, and I've got an interview with him coming up in a couple weeks.
Ooh, you fancy?
Nice.
You're busy.
Yeah,
He's
busy
had
man.
some wonderful interviews going on.
All right. Yeah.
Which now you can confirm for me. Is it Bill Nye?
It's Bill Nye.
Bill Nye.
Yeah, not,
Okay.
Bill
It's
Nye,
not
not the
Nye?
science guy.
Okay.
It's
It's
actually-
I always wondered.
Yeah,
it
it's
is
Bill
Bill
Nye.
Nye.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which,
He interviewed him recently.
I'm going to see Emma tomorrow.
very cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've heard good things.
So have I. I saw that trailer and I was like, in. I was like, all right, a little bit of Austin in my life. Why not?
Well, anything with Anna Taylor-Joy has my attention at this point.
Like New Mutants.
And she, yes, coming out in April, maybe. The way that the filmscape is going,
Yeah.
I have no idea when anything's coming out. I just found out My Spy got moved from this coming Friday
To April.
to April.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I
Did
think
it
it's
take James
taking,
Bond's spot?
No, I think it took Trolls World Tour because Trolls took. So Bond moved in November, and then Trolls World Tour went, great, we'll take your slot. So they moved to April 10th, and now My Spy moved once again from this past summer to March 13th, and now it's April 17th. So anybody going to the Sneak in Charlotte or anywhere else this week might want to check your tickets.
Yeah. It's this virus is fucking up a whole movie game right now. I'm not
a lot
fan
more
of
than
this.
that.
Yeah.
A lot more than that. South by Southwest got canceled, which is a huge deal. $335 million to Austin alone.
Yeah, Seattle is talking about how much the lack of Emerald City Comic Con will be hurting their pockets as well. So I'm going to go out there and spend as much money as I can while I'm in Seattle to help you people out, you locals,
There you
small
go.
businesses.
And then, of course, there's New York, which is like, F this, we're going anyway.
Gotta love that.
You
place.
talked about Bond being changed. I mean, they're like $30 million the delay is going to cost them to do that.
Yeah.
Jesus.
$30 million just for the delay of that film.
And the film's already been delayed, right?
Yeah, because there'd been I think Craig hurt himself
Craig
on
got
set.
injured. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that setback cost him a little bit of money. Now this is going to cost me more. Sony's bleeding right now.
Except they are making a better call. Bond is people are gonna show up for that.
Oh, absolutely.
People are excited for it. It's Craig's last film, so obviously people are gonna go see it. Anna de Armas is coming off of Knives Out and a few other pictures that she's done. So people are gonna show up for this movie, and Bond works better in November anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Bond's a November release.
I was talking to my son Thomas about this, and I feel the same way. I think November just works with Bond films, especially now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my dad's birthday is April 10th, so I was kind of looking forward to taking him to go see it. But virus!
Take him to Trolls World Tour.
I'll take him to Trolls World Tour.
It could be good. It could be good.
The perfect father-son movie.
The first one was fantastic. I was surprised. We saw it when it came out on home release. Crystal and I think liked it more than Connor.
All right. What's next on next?
But before we move into the next phase, one film I did want to mention, if only because it surprised the hell out of me, is My Hero Academia Heroes Rising is in select theaters right now. And I thought it was only going to be one day. It ended up being several days, and then it ended up being a couple of weeks. It's a film, it's the second film based on a manga, which already has 4 seasons of a TV show. All 4 seasons are available on Hulu. It is amazing. If you like superhero stories, stories that deal with heroism, that actually have heart and plenty of surprises and some incredible imaginative storytelling, cannot recommend the TV show enough, the anime. But Heroes Rising is amazing. The amount of times I shouted expletives that Crystal could hear through the wall. Yeah, she wants to watch it too, and she hasn't seen it yet.
All of your descriptors, I just kept thinking Pee Wee Herman. Pee Wee Herman. Pee Wee Herman. So.
Oh, does it? Yes. Yes. It is. This series takes place in a world where 80% of the population has superhero abilities, and they are some of the most bizarre and imaginative and amazing things ever. There is a dude who is a photographer. And how does he get his photos? Cameras come out of it. He can make a camera come out of any part of his body. And he prints the photos from his chest.
If you need a selling point, listeners,
No,
there it is for you.
The imagination with the ability. There's one dude that anything he eats, he can make a part of his body morph into that thing. So if he eats a wing of
Cheeseburger
chicken,
feet.
yes, no. So if he eats chicken, he can create chicken claws.
And this is not a comedy.
Yes. Comedy, action, drama.
Okay.
I'm describing to you and you're like, what the F is this? It is amazing.
All right, then.
Hero Rising.
Heroes Rising. It is the second film that comes after 4 seasons of a TV show, of an anime. Can't recommend it enough.
Awesome.
But speaking of movies, now we've talked about some movies that we like, that we've seen recently, but that doesn't really give us a sense of you, sir. Now,
Okay.
this is your first time joining us. So if you don't mind, and I'm sure Daryl wouldn't mind either, take a few minutes to find out a little bit about you, since this is your first time joining us, and maybe not everybody in Paprika watched Daryl's episode.
Right on.
Because we did post it. We
Yeah.
did post it in the forum.
Try to get you as many clicks as I can, sir.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Noel, you've been in this business over 20 years, correct?
Yeah, been a while.
Where did you get started?
Oh, wow. How far back do you want to go, man?
You were born a poor black
you
child.
What do you mean I'm not white? Sorry.
Yeah, what made you? Do you remember your thought process that, oh, this is something I think I want to do?
Yeah, I've always loved film. First film I remember seeing, and this will probably be on my list when we start talking about films, but if it is, I'll move to something else. But my mom used to always take me to the monster matinees. And we had this I lived in a small town in eastern North Carolina, Ayden, North Carolina, Pitt County. And they had one theater, and it was one of these old movie house cinemas. You'd see them today as art house cinemas.
Yeah.
But they would, it was one screen, and they would always show monster matinees and kind of family films on Saturdays. And the first film I ever saw was 1931's Frankenstein.
No, nice.
And that was the first thing I ever remember seeing on screen, and just the visuals of it just blew me away. And that's what developed my love for Universal horror films. And so I saw all of those, before I was 7 years old. Oh. And just developed a love of cinema for that. And then, as of course I got into became a teenager, other films like Star Wars really spoke to me. And that was my first, what I felt was the true cinematic experience, was seeing Star Wars on the big screen. Thought I was going to go into acting. I really did. That was in high school. That was my pursuit, drama, really big into drama, and really thought that, okay, I want to pursue this. And I remember sitting in my high school class saying, you guys are going to see me in Hollywood one day. Hollywood. And I remember saying that, but I never thought it would be on the other side of things, as kind of doing film criticism. But I just always had this love for acting and cinema. And then moving into college, got a chance to do movie reviews for a weekly newspaper, and then do an internship doing movie reviews for a CNN Headline News affiliate, but worked on Last of the Mohicans in North Carolina. Doing that, getting a chance to see it behind the scenes, thinking, okay, I'm going to go into film. After doing that, I realized I did not want to do that for the rest of my life, because at that time I was falling in love with then my bride, Beth Manning.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to have roots. So I chose another route, and not long after 91, I got a chance to, as I was doing film reviews, just got a chance to be invited to be a part of the what was then Broadcast Film Critics Association
Yes, sir.
at the time, which is now Critics' Choice, and just immersed myself into film in every aspect. And now I get a chance to do some film criticism teaching at Gardner Webb University as well, and have been reviewing films in some form or fashion for over 20 years. But I just love every aspect of filmmaking, from the acting to the production design to the cinematography to the subtleties and sound mixing and sound design. I just love it all. And it all starts with the story. And so for me, it goes back to the story. Does the story bring me in?
Yeah.
And can they find a way to do that? There have been some great stories that have been torn apart and do not translate on the big screen.
Absolutely.
Several years ago, there was one that there was high hopes for, a book called Serena that was written by Ron Rash, who is a university professor at Western North Carolina, but he's from Boiling Springs, which is where I'm from now. He wrote this best-selling book. And I remember when it was cast, Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence, and you're like, okay, this guy has Oscar written all over it. But it just fell apart. And so you can take a great story and put it in the hands of a not-so-great director,
Yep.
have a bunch of crap that comes out the other end.
Yep.
So yeah, just I love so much about cinema and being able to talk cinema and share it with others, and just happy that I've got a son who has developed the same kind of love that I have.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Ah, beautiful story, sir. A beautiful story.
Well, and I'm kind of curious, considering that you have been doing this for so long, how do you stay so excited and so energized about these films? Is it just the fact that there's new stories that are coming out, new ways to tell stories? What is it about it that seems to always get you so excited?
Well, cinema's changed, and not just how it's shot. I mean, last night I was watching The Great Escape. I just want to go back and watch something older again, and cinema does not stay the same. The way stories are told doesn't stay the same. The way that we rely on music or sound design. I mean, you go back and look at some of these old films with a lot of gunfights, and it's like pew, pew, pew. It's like, wow, they went to the sound effects library, and it took a while for them to say no, let's expand that. So cinema never. I love it because it continues to change, continues to adapt, continues to get better. There are old stories. Most stories are old stories in some form or fashion as far as formulas, but finding new ways to tell them and new and creative ways to tell them that maybe you haven't seen before, I'm always drawn to that, to see what's new and what's fresh and what can make me remember. One of my favorite Star Wars films is Solo. And one of the reasons why is because it found a way to take me back to my childhood again. When I watched that on the screen, I said, "Wow!" I was giddy, and I had this same kind of energy that I had when I saw Star Wars the first time in the theaters. So, we all watch films, and not all of them are great.
Yeah.
And many of them are not great.
You don't have to laugh like that, Daryl. Don't have to laugh like that.
He's not wrong. Have you seen Greed yet?
Oh, yeah, I suffered through greed with my son, and he said, "Dad, I really appreciate you. Really appreciate you watching this whole movie." I'm like, "Nah, I'm committed, man. I'm committed."
You get a certain way in. You kind of have to finish it. You have to see where it goes.
I'm not going to have wasted my time the last 45 minutes.
But even bad films have amazing filmmakers trying to deliver something on the other end that they hope will be good. So there's an independent filmmaker in Shelby, North Carolina, Earl Owensby, and he said nobody sets out to make a bad film.
Yep.
That's true. Nobody sets out to make a bad film, and you're invested in it. You feel for it. You bleed for it. Many times you bleed for it. Yeah. And so, I continue to be drawn into the new, fresh ideas that are out there.
Right on, man.
And just to build off of your point, that's one of the things that bothers me in some cases about some forms of criticism, about more hot takes and not being sort of surface level with everything, is it sort of feels like they forget that you're not just reviewing a movie, you're reviewing something that someone created.
Right.
So if you're just going to go, this is hot garbage, that someone spent a lot of their time and passion to create this. If you're going to actually evaluate something, give them more than that.
Yeah. I mean, being the film snob is something that when I'm talking to film students who are wanting to follow film criticism, don't go in to be a film snob. Don't go in to say, what can I find bad about this?
Yeah.
What is the witty line that I can put down to have a snide remark? That's not the purpose of it. Now, if it happens and it bleeds out of it, and you just feel like, okay, I've got to say it, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But if you're going in looking for that, I think that's where some challenges are there.
Right.
Is there anything about, speaking of the landscape of film criticism, that gives you hope about this next generation as an instructor and as someone who is deep in the industry? Is there something that gives you hope about where the direction of film criticism is going?
I think technology. Look at this. We're doing a podcast here. I mean, that was 15, 20 years ago. That was not being talked about. So, for those who want to pursue film criticism, aside from filmmaking, the opportunities here are continuing to expand. You can, if you've got a soundboard and a device that will record and a decent microphone, you can share your story. If you've got access to a webcam, you can share what you think and feel about film. So the opportunities for those who want to pursue film criticism are out there. There's no loss for the amount of films that you can review. And one of the things I've always told students is don't stick to one particular genre. Just don't watch the blockbusters. Dig a little deeper than that. And it's not that hard to dig a little deeper than that. There are online film channels that are exclusive for independent cinema and for independent filmmakers. And there's some amazing independent film out there that most people don't get a chance to explore.
Absolutely.
So that's one of the things that I share.
Right on, right on. And to build off of that, you don't have to. In film criticism, the idea of not sticking to one thing doesn't mean you can't stick to one genre.
Right.
It just means, to support your point, that, for instance, if you like horror, don't just go see The Invisible Man and then go see The Lodge and whatever else. Those are hitting theaters. There are tons of smaller indie horror films or psychological films. Go see everything that fits underneath that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And nothing wrong with sticking to one genre, but if you really want to expand what cinema is meant for, take a look at everything that's out there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
At least a taste of everything that's out there.
You know, a great way to figure out the tastes and all the broad scopes that are out there is to listen to the 100 for 100 podcast.
Yes. That was very smooth.
In which I detail 100 films that I think every new movie watcher should watch.
Yes. Yes.
We are currently in the 40s now, or 30s now. Yeah.
Please buy his product.
Go listen on this very channel. Go listen.
Well, and speaking of that, and this was going around recently online for a while, what are 5 films that you think gives people an idea about who you are and how you look at cinema?
Okay. Well,
It's a very original question.
I thought it was a great question when he asked you.
yeah.
So?
Yeah, films that define you, and that is going around. And on the drive over here today, my son and I, Thomas, were talking about this changes every day.
Yeah,
It really does. If you ask me the same thing tomorrow, I'll probably have a few different films, and it is hard because when you're talking about defining you, it's not just who you are, but it's your experiences, people around you. So I've already mentioned
we change.
We change. Yeah. So I've already mentioned one. So I'm going to actually bypass that one. I thought about Frankenstein, so I'm going to get a bonus here, and talk about Star Wars. So does that mean I get an extra one as well for that?
Sure. Here's the 7 films of 5 films that define who I am.
This is one of Daryl's favorite things. We need to come up with a list of 10 movies. Okay, here's my 15.
I hate it. Stick to the script.
Yeah. But those two, Frankenstein and Star Wars, the original Frankenstein and Star Wars, both of those, I've already mentioned why for that. But I'll transition into the film that really helped me to understand what filmmaking was Citizen Kane. Saw that for the first time when I was in college, and I had to do a research project on that, and was just blown away once I honestly started looking at the research and how that film defied what filmmaking was supposed to be. And it helped me to understand what I wanted to be a part of, whether I wanted to be involved in the filmmaking industry or somehow connected to it. And I've been able to stay connected to it. So that's one of the films. Also, Better Off Dead from 1985. A really quirky, dark comedy. Joan Cusack is in this. Curtis Hanson. Savage Steve Holland was the director for this.
Yeah.
I love Savage Steve Holland films. He didn't do a lot. He didn't do many, but he also did one called One Crazy Summer, which is another John Cusack, Demi Moore film as well.
Oh, yeah.
But Better Off Dead speaks, I think, to my comedy and the type of comedy that I'm drawn to. I like all
Sweet
styles.
fuzzy bunnies.
Exactly. But Better Off Dead is one of those films. Forrest Gump from 1994. First movie my wife and I went to see as a married couple.
Okay.
And it just has that connection. And also, I've loved Tom Hanks since Bosom Buddies. Mm-hmm. And so I will always go to see Tom Hanks in a film. I don't care what it is. Man with One Red Shoe, it doesn't matter. Bachelor Party. I'm going to watch Tom Hanks in a film. And who would have thought at Bosom Buddies that this guy would become
America's father?
Yeah. It's just pretty incredible. And then another one of those films, Children of Men from 2006.
One of his favorites.
I absolutely have always loved sci-fi, especially good sci-fi. And to me, the sci-fi is at its best when it asks the what-if question. And this does that so well. And Alfonso Cuarón did this film, directed it, co-wrote it, based on a best-selling novel. But the cast was pretty incredible as well. Clive Owen, Julianne Moore, Michael Caine, Chiwetel Ejiofor, and then Robin Williams had a small role in this film, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
But I remember watching elements of this film, especially the one take where there's this chaos going on and you are just immersed in it. And that, to me, speaks to what great cinema can continue to be. But also it speaks to my love of sci-fi. So there's a handful.
There we go.
And if you like that, stay tuned for later on this year when we reveal another 100 list. I'm doing 100 must-see sci-fi films at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Aren't you tired?
Yes. Yes, I am tired.
And
all
one,
the time.
one bonus film I'm going to throw out is Coco, the animated film, because it just speaks to family. And I am a man who loves my family. I love the history and the lineage of my family as well. Other than my son, I'm really...
Oh,
In the background, like,
The whole time Thomas is like, yes, waiting for it. There it is. There it is. That's where he got me.
But that movie, I think, was so underrated and underappreciated by some. I just there are movies that we could talk about movies that make your eyeball sweat. That's one of those movies that can make your eyeball sweat.
yeah, my daughter is half Puerto Rican.
Oh, wow.
And she was all immersed up in that. She was like, they sound kind of like me.
Yeah,
And,
wow.
Yes, they do. And that "Remember Me," man, is the most brutal song in film, I think.
Yeah, it's
and
incredible.
all its variations too. We get that soundtrack. There's like 4 different versions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so weird. I have a pulse, and yet apparently I was completely unmoved by that movie.
What?
I know. We actually talked. I know.
That doesn't surprise me. I know you.
No. Hold on. He and Daryl and I actually talked about this fairly recently on one of the official shows. But we love in our household The Book of Life, which is a phenomenal film. We love the music. We love the approach to the storytelling. And for some reason, that film hits us. That film makes my eyeballs sweat.
Wow.
And I was watching Coco. We actually watched it with Connor, and he was in it all the way up till the end where it got a little too scary for him.
Yeah.
But we made him safe, and he was okay. But I liked the film, but I just kept thinking, Book of Life did this better. For me.
For you.
For me.
Yeah.
For me.
And that's the beauty of film. And that's one of the things that I really talk about to the students is say, look, you may absolutely love the film, you may hate it, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Especially if you can articulate why, and even if you can't articulate why, like Douglas can't say why that Coco doesn't speak to him. He's that's okay. He's heartless. But I think
we checked, completely vacant.
But I think that's one of the things that continues to be the beauty of it is that we're not all drawn to the same things, just like we're not all drawn to the same music or the same books. Or the same news networks or whatever it is. We're drawn to different things, and that's what continues to blow me away about what cinema does. Is it continues to speak to the different audiences out there.
Right on. Well, what's next, Doug? What else we got, man?
What else we got? We are headed straight into, from this conversation about film, into another one where we talk about our most anticipated films of 2020. Which here's the tricky part with this one. Is that the list could change because the movies might move to 2021.
Oh, no. Don't you dare say that. Don't you dare say that.
We also might not make it to the end of 2020.
Look,
Contagion has gotten really popular as a rewatch lately.
I saw that. Yeah.
So as the recording of this podcast, these are the films.
I just need to make it to a specific date in December, and then I can die happy.
What are you talking about? Endgame ran last year. What do you mean? What do you mean?
That's the beauty of film is every year I increase my life just a little bit. I just got to make it to Endgame. I just got to make it to this. I just got to make it to this. And that's how I stay alive.
It's nice to have goals.
It's nice to have goals. Kids graduating.
I was talking about this to a friend of my daughter's who was a boy, a man friend. They were watching the Back to the Future trilogy, back to back to back.
Okay, you know what? I've never actually done that.
Back to back to back. My daughter had never seen it, and so it was bringing back the memories of when I saw that the first time in theaters. And I remember watching Back to the Future 2 and being so ticked off at the end because it left you with this cliffhanger. I'm like, what if I die? What if I die before the third one comes out? I will not know how it ends. I'll just have to ask God. Can you help me here?
And there was no internet where you could put forth the, hey, I'm about to die. Could someone help me watch this?
No.
Now you know how it feels to be a fan of George R. R. Martin. I just try to stay healthy for the next book, man.
Man.
What do we say to the God of Death?
Yeah, release the next book. To the God of Death. Oh, it's not today? Maybe tomorrow. All right, so we're doing our top 3 films the most anticipated 2020, correct?
Don't know about top, but certainly the most anticipated.
Most anticipated.
Three of our most anticipated.
Sounds good. Who would like to kick? Would like to have our guest kick off as number 3?
Unless you would like to. You haven't talked much.
Yeah,
I'll let you go. I've just been relaxing. All right, then I will kick this bad boy off. Then the 3 films most anticipated. My number 3 on my list is Black Widow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wait. That doesn't come out in December.
No, hey, that's what number 1 is. That's number 1. You gotta hold that off a bit. I cannot wait for this film. Mostly because I'm curious as to why now. Is it pressure? Like, hey, we got
Perlmutter. Perlmutter isn't involved.
Yeah,
he's not involved anymore.
Directed by Kate Shortland, by the way. I'm interested to see what they do with this character now that we already know how she ends up. She's dead. Is this going to be
Spoiler alert?
Yeah, okay.
What the heck?
By the way, way to just say it without like giving your audience anything. I mean, just in case anybody was broken up by this, Natasha died.
What the heck? Nobody told me.
Yeah, so this movie taking place after Civil War and before Infinity War. I'm interested to see, the Avengers have disbanded at this point. So it seems like she's just returning back to the familiar for her, her Russian family. Is this just like just an adventure that happens for her in between movies? I feel like that's an unnecessary story. So something tells me they're hiding something in this movie that won't like completely change the game for the MCU, but something that will help propel it forward.
Robert Downey Jr.?
No, I think it's
You don't think it's going to be him?
Oh, he'll be in there. He is confirmed casting. So, I think we might get a little bit of Red Hulk in this movie. Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see what it is. What are they going to give us that we don't already know about Natasha? So it'll be interesting to see that. So looking forward to that bit of business. Yeah, and we're going to get some great fight scenes because they always give her some good choreography.
That is true. That is too.
Yeah, this is the film I've been waiting for. I've been waiting for a Black Widow film ever since I first saw her on screen.
Yeah. So this is going to be. There's something in there. I just have this feeling there's something that they're like, hey, look at all this. We got Rachel Weisz and we got David Harbour and Florence Pugh and something's over here that I think is going to throw everybody for a loop.
Yeah, and did you know that Douglas Davidson made it into a photo with Florence Pugh?
Wait, I did?
Did you know?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
It was
There's
actually,
proof?
Did you know Florence Pugh made it in a photo with Douglas Davidson?
Wait. Where is this photo? Where is this photo?
Well,
I
you were
heard
in
she
the
has it in her
background.
scrapbook at home.
Does not matter. Wait, seriously? I made it in?
It's on one of my Facebook pages.
Ooh, I haven't seen it.
Really? Yeah.
Okay, we're going to talk about this later, I know, but almost every photo that came out of the Critics' Choice, I'm looking at it and going, I'm behind that person. I'm just outside the frame.
Yeah.
No.
I was there.
It's okay, I made it on TV. That's
There you
fine.
go.
I look like an
Done.
idiot. We'll talk about that later. But
What about you? Have any thoughts on Black Widow before we move on?
just that it is frustrating that the powers that be that were holding it back, and I don't mean Feige, refuse to let it happen sooner. Because honestly, we should have gotten a Black Widow film sooner because there are stories to tell with Natasha, and particularly knowing how her story ends, it takes some of the urgency out of it. So they've got to fit in this story in between all of these other story arcs the character has had and closed off. I really liked the way that they got rid of the red in her ledger. And the only thing I can think of with this film is that building off of Winter Soldier and Civil War, she's lacking protection now. So old enemies are going to come for her. So I get that. But at the same time, you're telling the story when she's supposed to be on the run with her friends. Why aren't they involved? So it forces us to ask questions. It forces them to work around things that would be fine in a comic book, but are less easy to do in a film. So I'm excited for this too. I really am.
I'm hoping.
And the cast is great.
Since Florence Pugh's character is also a Black Widow in the comics, I'm hoping that this means
Young
we
Avengers?
get- No. She's a little too old for Young Avengers. Young Avengers are like teens, but I'm hoping that she moves forward within the MCU. They haven't announced, how many movies she signed up for. I'm hoping it's not just one, but I would like to see if you want to keep a Black Widow around. Marvel could very easily do Black Widow like we do with James Bond.
Yeah.
Just keep giving me more Black Widows.
Yeah.
And hopefully Pugh stays around for a bit.
That'd be great. Yeah. I'm up for that.
And what about you? What is one of yours?
I'm looking for the movie called Mank, and it follows the Orson Welles story. David Fincher is the director of this. Lily Collins, Gary Oldman, a couple of names to be attached to this. So really looking forward to this.
heard
one.
of this?
Yeah.
You don't have your ear to the streets, Doug.
I don't. I have them in these earmuffs.
Going back to you, Noel.
So that's on my list. I mean, the making of and the challenges of making that film, and the screenwriter and Orson Welles. There have been several films about Orson Welles, but this one, with David Fincher attached to it, I'm truly intrigued.
Yeah, I was for some reason I was looking at Fincher's filmography. I think it's when I was doing the 100 for 100 on 7, and I was looking at his filmography, and I was like, I think there's only like one Fincher film I haven't seen, and I've liked, besides Alien 3, I've liked pretty much everything that dude puts out. He's got a solid product. I think I was one of the few that really dug the Americanized version of Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh yeah.
7, obviously. Zodiac is the one I haven't seen, so I need to sit down and check that bad boy out.
Yeah. So,
But if it's Fincher's name on it, I'm there.
yeah, absolutely.
Right on. And now I've got one to add to my list because no flipping clue. It's called Bank.
Mank. Yep. Herman Mankiewicz.
Mankiewicz.
Oh.
Yep. But it's called Mank. M-A-N-K.
Okay. Cool.
As in kooky.
Mine, I'm not sad that it's already been moved. I will hope that it still gets released this year, but No Time to Die. I grew up on James Bond. I read some of the Ian Fleming books, and back when I had time to read. I also used to read the Fletch books, and I know how you feel. If you haven't read those, those things are so good.
Do love me some Fletch.
They are so good. They translated wonderfully with Chevy Chase. But anyway, I've really enjoyed Daniel Craig's stories. I really enjoyed Spectre when I first saw it, but came to realize that it was too much fan service without any weight or depth to it. And it feels like with No Time to Die, we're actually going to get some of that weight. And I've really liked in particular that all of the Craig films have been connected, that they've actually been telling one larger overarching story. Some of them have been stronger than others, certainly. Quantum of Solace to me is not as strong as, say, Casino Royale or Skyfall, but they've always had a great cast, and the way that they've been telling these stories have really been interesting in terms of a character journey for Bond. So I'm quite excited about this. And then, of course, Ana de Armas is in this. I absolutely have to watch it. I'm now officially in love with her and anything she does. Rami Malek, say what you will about his performance in Bohemian Rhapsody, and I've said very positive things about it. I enjoy him as an actor. Looking forward to seeing who he plays in this. And of course, I love that theory.
Yeah.
I love that theory.
And he's been watching a lot of Dr. No. He's thought about going back and watching that film. Does that mean he's playing Dr. No? Not necessarily, but he has said, I've been watching that film quite often.
Yeah. So I love the theory, and that's part of it is that after they did Skyfall, because yes, Spectre is the one that has the opening with him in the Day of the Dead celebration, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That one take.
Yeah.
The one shot.
Yeah.
That is Skyfall.
Spectre.
Yeah, because Skyfall opens with him being shot. Okay.
Yeah, for some reason I was thinking the Day that leads to him being shot.
No.
Yeah, thanks for our research and development coordinator.
Yeah, thank you very much. Got that checked out. Appreciate that. Complaints department. Thank you. So yeah, that opening, we've done these deep dark stories with Bond with the previous 3. We almost got a Roger Moore type of feel to it because the whole building falls and he lands on a couch. Daniel Craig hasn't done that kind of physical humor with Bond. It's been very serious and intense. So we got more of that levity, and I've loved how they've gone back. And Jeffrey Wright as
Felix.
Felix, thank you. Wow, that was going to bother me. I love him as Felix.
Yeah.
From the moment he shows up in Casino Royale. And Crystal wasn't very familiar with the Bond movies when we started dating. And even when we met each other when Die Another Day came out. But I looked at her in the theater and was like slapping her. What? Felix. So anyway, so I'm looking very much forward to that.
Yeah,
one.
Craig reframed this franchise.
Yes, he did.
And it is his character. You talking about character arc. You've seen a character arc with him.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I'm fully looking forward to this. I grew up on Bond. I grew up on Roger Moore. The first Bond film I ever saw was Live and Let Die in theaters. And still the best song of any of the Bond songs.
Ooh, boy.
That's you can come back. We'll discuss that.
That's a debate right there.
But yeah, I'm highly looking forward to that film.
It is my number 2. No Time to Die is my number 2. I'm less a fan of this mini Bond cinematic universe that we've got, especially with
Spectrally?
Spectre. Spectrally. With Spectre, because it just seems so ham-fisted. The fact that he's been behind the events of Quantum of Solace and Casino Royale and Skyfall. It just seems like they just kind of let's find a way to just mush this all in.
Yeah.
I like the fact that Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace bookend each other. That I'm cool with. I was okay with the fact that, Skyfall is just yet another story. The fact that they just had to force a way to tie it all in together. I was not a big fan of that.
So you felt it was shoehorned for the sake of maybe wrapping up potentially the franchise in case Craig did not come back, or his version of the franchise.
I think it was partially that, and partially they're like, this Marvel Cinematic Universe is doing pretty good. Is there a way we can kind of replicate it without quite replicating it? Let's just make this all the same thing here. Not a big fan. And then, of course, Spectre didn't quite do as predicted, and luckily they got Craig back. So that's another thing that bothers me about Spectre is, had that been his last, it was not a great ending. The actual ending of the film just did not seem final to me. Whereas a good bit of the other ones, your last Connery, your last Brosnan, those you walked out of theater, you're like, yeah, that was probably the last one.
Yeah, George Lazenby. I mean, you walked out.
Damn.
My favorite movie.
Went there.
By far, actually. It is my favorite Bond film.
I wanted to see more of him.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to No Time to Die, just to see, like you said, Ana de Armas, something. I want to see what Lashana Lynch is doing, taking over the 007 role until he gets back, or is she going to relinquish it? Is that going to be another source of tension within the movie? And how are they going to fit Lea Seydoux, Madeline Swan in this? It's there's a lot of balls up in the air that they got to juggle, and I quite like to see how they all land.
To be fair, the Bond films have had a shared universe before. Blofeld, though played by different actors, has appeared in different films, constituting different adventures against Blofeld, as well as the fact that one of my favorite things about Tomorrow Never Dies, and I loved Brosnan's Bond. I really, really did. And again, I watched Scarecrow and Mrs. No, wait, not Scarecrow and Mrs. Remington Steele. Thank you. Completely different spy show. But I loved watching Remington Steele, which is why he didn't do Bond sooner. But my favorite thing with Tomorrow Never Dies is that they reference him being married before. And that's why it didn't work out with Terry Hatcher and her character and this, that, and whatever, which is a throwback to On Her Majesty's Secret Service. So they've had the shared universe before. So them tightening it up to just be Craig's beginning and wherever his end is, I actually don't have too much of a problem with, but I could see where it would be an issue.
Yeah. I feel like that's less a shared universe and more little Easter eggs than anything else. But that's neither here nor there.
So,
go ahead.
So if you could choose the next Bond, if there's one person. If there's one person. You mean to tell
Henry
mine?
Cavill.
Henry Cavill. Okay. Ooh, yeah.
I mean, you watch Man from U.N.C.L.E., and you're like, that man looks damn good in a suit. Well, he already looks like James Bond. We know he's got the action and acting chops.
You watch the Mission Impossible with him.
You watch Mission Impossible
with him
as well.
well.
He's got the physicality. Yeah.
That's the reason, though, why I don't think he'd make for a good Bond. Not because I don't think he's a good actor, but physically he's huge. I mean, the jokes about him what was it, reloading his arms.
Craig coming out of the ocean in Casino Royale.
Yeah,
He's beefcake.
except he's usually clothed, right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't look imposing. And that's part of the thing with Bond, at least with the actors that they've cast before. He doesn't appear imposing. He's just physically strong. I mean, Craig's got a boxer's body, which is what Bond has. Whereas Cavill, he's like 6 foot something, 400 pounds, wearing out his Witcher's costume by moving in it.
Yeah.
Okay? So I don't have an issue with the casting. He did look great in The Man from U.N.C.L.E., but I do think for Bond, on the other hand, he's huge. Who would you put?
Idris
in the role?
Elba.
Okay.
Oh,
right
yeah.
on.
Yeah,
Right
I love him and almost everything he does. Even The Dark Tower, I did not like The Dark Tower.
We don't talk about that movie on this show.
Yeah, but I love him as an actor, and his presence just blows me away. And I would love to see them change it up a bit. I'd be cool with that.
I think it would be difficult. People have talked about that online, and that the trick is when you put, in his case, African as opposed to African American. He's from the UK. Putting someone in like him in that role would absolutely change the backstory of the character, and whether or not that would work or not, I don't know because I haven't spent any time examining it. But I thought that was an interesting argument, where because of when the character was created in the backstory that the other films carry forward may not work with him in that role. But if they were to do something like they've done with Craig to modernize it,
Yeah, I think that's what
then I
happened.
think that would work.
Yeah, and I don't know that we're going to see. I don't know that the next Bond is going to be just a continuation of these stories.
Oh, no.
I think we may see another kind of reboot.
I
It's worked with Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, about
know?
35 of those dudes.
Good Lord.
I would love to see a Henry Cavill Bond with the Idris Elba villain.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about
Switch
you?
that, I'll buy a ticket.
Okay.
So what about you?
What about you, sir?
Oh no, I was with you on Idris.
No.
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, no, that was I was like,
Yeah.
he's amazing.
Yeah.
Right on. So
Yeah.
number 2? You're number 2, sir.
The Trial of the Chicago Seven. Aaron Sorkin. I absolutely adore his writing and his way of delivering, creating dialogue that is so fluid and just feels so real. I've liked him going back to Sports Night.
Yes.
The TV
I got the
TV
first
series.
season on DVD.
Just his
Only the
his-
first? You're not a fan.
and his way of creating characters that just feel authentic and natural, and finding the cast to make it work as well. But his first attempt at directing turned out pretty well.
Molly's Game, right?
Molly's Game, yeah. And so he's directing and also writing this. Michael Keaton, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, starring in this film. So looking forward to that as well.
Holy mackerel! How did I not hear about this?
Yeah, I can't
Sorkin in a
remember when I
movie?
heard about it. Yeah, it's going to be some wild business, I
Yeah.
think. I mean, the man is known for, writing some of the most incredible dialogue. I mean, West Wing, right?
Yeah.
And then you have, like you said,
First 4 seasons. First 4
JGL,
seasons.
and who I consider to be a more than competent actor. So I'm looking forward to seeing. I was looking forward to seeing what actors will do with certain writers. Like, how are you going to get these characters? How are you going to deliver these lines? Like, some actors were made for certain directors. Samuel L. Jackson is made for Quentin Tarantino.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Or Quentin Tarantino is made for Samuel L. Jackson, however you want to call it. So I, give me all the Sorkin all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
What about you, sir?
I'm going in a completely different direction. Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. I'm one of the few people that, and don't hurt me, prefers Ghostbusters 2 over Ghostbusters 1. And for me, it's the fact that Ghostbusters 1 terrified me as a child. Slimer running at the screen at the end of the movie completely freaked me out. It absolutely did. Whereas Ghostbusters 2 is more of a comedy that has these horror elements. So as a kid, I could get into that more. And so I have an affinity with that one. The video game that they created that is an unofficial 3 is fantastic. It was wonderful to find out that Zedmore got a PhD. I wonder if Afterlife will reference that at all. But and I thought the extended cut, the director's cut of Ghostbusters Answer the Call was actually pretty good. And the biggest issue with that film for me is that with the first Ghostbusters, it's a horror film that has comedic elements due to timing and delivery.
And the fact that you got a whole bunch of comedic actors.
Well, yeah, but they're not. Going back to Sorkin, Sunset Strip. Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. There's a conversation two characters have about why did something work in dress and why didn't it work in the event. In the dress, the character had asked for the butter, and in the live, they asked for the joke. And that's the difference with comedy. If you are trying to make people laugh with comedy, like if your goal is that, and you are doing something with the purpose of making somebody laugh, it's 50-50. But if you're playing it straight, the humor can come naturally. You go and watch Ghostbusters, it's not funny, but it's funny because of the circumstance and delivery. Whereas in Answer the Call, they're just trying to be quippy and funny, and they're just doing their natural thing that worked in Bridesmaids, but didn't necessarily work here with that particular group and audience for Ghostbusters. And with Afterlife, I feel like we're going to get a return to what worked in 1 and 2, and particularly having Jason Reitman directing it is going to be great. And I love the fact that it looks like it's going to be Spangler's grandkids.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Well, and we've got so much. You talk about bringing youth into wanting to revisit some of these older films and older franchises. This is the way to do it. I mean, you watch it, and for those that are fans of Stranger Things, you're automatically going, "Ooh, that kind of has this interesting vibe where there's some fun chemistry as well." So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one too.
Oh yeah, it's just, I can't wait. I can't wait, particularly because yes, it hits on nostalgia for people that saw the original films, whether in theater or at home or grew up with it, but it's also something that's generational, where if my son were old enough, I'd want to take him to go do that. So I'm really excited. Hoping it keeps its date in July.
Cool. And
number 3?
Number 1. If we're going 3, 2, 1.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Mine were in no
This is your
particular order.
third one.
Mine were definitely in order of anticipation.
You've already said No Time to Die.
There's only one, and it is Dune.
Not Tenet?
No, not Tenet. I mean, you know what you're getting with a Nolan film. It's gonna be some wild business. Dune.
That doesn't tell me anything. I just know it's backwards. It's backwards and it's forwards.
That's what the girls used to say about me.
You know what you're getting with Nolan's wild business. Dune is
Thomas, your face is matching your shirt right now, buddy.
Dune is my favorite science fiction book of all time. It doesn't even come close to whatever number 2 would be. I have a Dune tattoo, 2 Dark Tower tattoos as well. I'm re-listening to the book again now to prep for it. I guarantee I will listen to it again before Dune comes out. It is the director of Arrival, my number 1 movie of that year, of Sicario, which is in my top 5 of that year, Prisoners, which is in my top 5 of that year, and Blade Runner 2049, which was my number 1 film of the decade. I trust this man with my children. All right? I trust Denis Villeneuve with my children. You look at that cast list, where they were just announcing name after name after name, and Twitter is like, am I in Dune? I was waiting for the phone call. They're casting me in Dune. I think they're going to do very well. Very, very well with this. And at first I was like, Timothée Chalamet, I don't know. But I've been doing my Chalamet research. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I think he's going to nail it. I think he's got it. It's going to be a nice, juicy, long run time, they say. And so just the more time to spend in that environment, in that element, I'm all for it. I cannot wait. And I think it comes out the same day, if everything sticks according to plan, as the Coming to America sequel. And I'm at an existential crisis. Like, no matter what I do, am I going to go see Coming to America first? Because I'm just be thinking about Dune the whole time I'm watching that. Yeah. And if I go see Dune first, I'm going to be thinking, man, I can't wait to laugh after I go watch this Coming to America. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go see Dune. I cannot wait. I love everything that I've heard about it and all that good stuff.
So did you appreciate the other attempt at Dune in theaters?
The Lynch version.
Yes.
Absolutely hate it. Yeah. Hate it. I've made it maybe 35 minutes in. That's as far as
So what went wrong with that movie?
So Lynch is a very out there director. Like, he's just known for making weird stuff. That's what the dude does. Dune is very weird, too. So you think those two things would match up very wonderfully. They just don't. They are not congruent with each other in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. It's just not interesting. Yeah. It's just so dry and boring to me. The performances aren't great. It just doesn't hook me. It doesn't. I've tried 4 times now, and around about the 30-minute mark, I'm just like, I could be folding my laundry right now. Wow. So I'm going to go do that instead. I very much like the sci-fi version that they did, though. The like the 6 hour or whatever it was. Yeah. That is, I think a lot of people don't give it the credit it deserves for the budget they had. They got great actors, they got some pretty decent set pieces, and they played that bad boy all the way out, and I love it. I'll probably rewatch that a couple times too.
So the dude making the weird stuff is kind of like when people go over to Douglas's for supper and they're like, "Yeah, we don't want to eat that because that dude makes some weird stuff."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Clearly, you don't know how boring our house is. I have the craziest palate of anyone in my house, and even I'm looking around at these food and being like, why can't I add spices? This is ridiculous.
The spice must flow. The spice must flow.
This is what I tell Crystal.
Yes.
She goes, get out. So, whatever.
So yeah, that is my number one. Sir, what is your number one?
I did not do it in order.
Neither did I.
what are you
Don't
saying?
feel any pressure.
Yeah.
Neither do I.
So actually, I did 10 movies, and so several of the ones you had were kind of on my list. So I cheated.
Our guest can't follow no rules, man. Guest can't follow.
Okay.
It's anarchy.
I am
You better have a set list over there.
I am truly. I grew up on Disney live action films. They were like the Escape from Witch Mountain and those kind of things. So I've appreciated what Disney has tried to do and done successfully with some of these live action remakes. Mulan, I am absolutely blown away by what I'm hoping to see on film with that. And Thomas and I talked about it back at the Critics' Choice Awards. There was a table that had some Mulan folks there, and we should have
real
taken.
quick. Sorry, I apologize. Did he go? Did he go to the Critics? I can't remember.
Did Thomas Hollywood Manning go?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry to interrupt your story. I just needed to check.
But there was a table that had some Mulan folks there, and we should have had our pictures made with those folks and saved it. Yeah, Ang Lee was there as well.
Wait a minute.
What?
Yes. Yeah, he was like,
Why are you telling
Yes.
us this? Okay, we're going to
Yeah.
talk about that
He
in
was
a
like,
minute.
Oh, this is a bull.
yes.
I know, right? This is what we get
Yes.
for being at table
Yes.
17.
All right.
But I'm happy that they're not going with the musical route
Yes.
for this. That is the
Yes.
that is the part that I'm really excited about because I don't want to see. I'll talk all day about why I did not like Lion King as a remake, live action remake.
That's not the sound Lions make.
But
That's the sound I was making.
but I love that they're going to do something different. That I'm not going to feel like I'm watching the very same thing again.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as the movie gives us what the trailers have promised us,
absolutely.
I'm 1,000,000,000%
Yeah.
ready for this
So
movie.
that's why it's on my list.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I feel like I've been shouting into a vacuum on Twitter, saying I'm okay that there are no musical numbers in this. Take
yeah.
out Mushu. Just give me a straight up drama.
Yeah.
and I'm here for
Yeah.
it.
If it's a standard Wuxia film, I'm there. I
if it's
love the. I've heard it pronounced as Wuxia and also Wushu.
Wushu.
I've heard it both ways. So, but I love those styles of film where it's sort of that historical, slightly balleric.
Yeah.
Fights are more
of
like
story.
dances.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about we're going to throw in a witch because based on the little bit of research I've done, there wasn't one in the original story, and there definitely wasn't one in the animated movie. So I'm curious if it's just we need to have Mulan fight a woman, which would annoy me.
Actually, the Monty Python gang is going to show up. And that witch turned one of them into the newt.
and they're going to be asking your favorite color. while they're there as well.
What? Here's your favorite color.
It's okay. We'll all probably be dead by then.
Yeah, no more.
We'll just have to bring out our
I plan on being patient zero, bringing it back here to Charlotte.
There we go.
Thanks, man.
What's your last pick there, Douglas?
There's honestly no other film that I am more excited for this year than this film, and I didn't have mine in any particular order. But Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Yeah.
I cannot flipping wait for this movie. Is the original film slightly problematic with some of their language? Yes. Is it still awesome? Abso-flippin-lutely. There's just something so simple and so straightforward about the premise and the way that everything is delivered, and it's a stoner movie without involving stoners
Right.
at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
And you learn a little something,
Yeah.
and it's just fun. And Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey is just so ridiculously stupid, and yet it is incredibly clever.
Yeah.
And I love the fact they're getting most of the original cast back. William Sadler is going to be Death again. I can't wait. I have not heard yet if Station will be reprising any sort of role, but it's got a phenomenal returning cast as well as a phenomenal new cast. And I have been waiting for this for some time. They've got the returning original writers, Ed Solomon and Chris Matthews. I believe that's right.
Yeah, because he's not with MSNBC anymore, so he's different guy.
Job opportunities everywhere for that guy.
Different guy. But they got the original writers for the other two films. These are people that know these characters. So I'm particularly excited for this one. I've got a Wild Stallions guitar pick
Do you really?
on my wall.
Nice.
Sweet.
I like it.
Yeah, no, I'm digging this.
All of his films were franchise films.
They were.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah,
They were. Ain't nothing wrong. I guess 2 or 3 of mine were franchise films as well. I like it.
And all of mine related to history. So there you go.
There you go.
Thematics. I like it. It's about time to wrap this bad boy up, Doug.
Then let's do it. We want to thank you, Noel, for coming and joining us on this. You are not our first guest, but you are the first guest that has ever been willing to do an interview with us. So thank you very much for that.
Yes.
We do hope that you will return, and not just because when we shut off the mic, your son's going to join us, and then we're going to record another one.
We need to talk to you again in exactly 2 weeks.
I'm back.
So just thank you so much for joining us. We would love to have you back, and not just because we're almost literally going to do that, but thank you so much for coming in and hanging out with us.
Oh, it's been great. Thanks.
Yeah. I know one thing that Doug is a fan of. You've told me a couple times is you're a fan of networking sideways.
Yes.
Instead of
Networking across.
Yeah.
Networking across. So whenever you want to come on, man, you're more than welcome.
This is great. Yeah, I loved it. I appreciate it very much. And you guys, as I said before, I want you back on Meet Me in the Movies as well.
There you go. A
We got it on
rising
tape.
tide raises all ships. All right. That's going to do it for this episode. What episode is this, Doug? Any
This is
idea?
25.
25. This is it for episode 25.
I always have an idea. They're not always good.
And I never do. We will see y'all again in 2 weeks for episode 26 right here of The Cinnamon.
Bye.